The riddle of Michael: is he an angel or Christ? The name Michael appears several times in the Bible, and each time it prompts us to think, who is he really? In some places, he is referred to as the Great Prince, while in others, as the Archangel. But who is this mighty heavenly warrior? An angel? Or is it Jesus Christ? In the book of the prophet Daniel, Michael is presented as the protector of the nation of Israel. He helps Daniel understand visions and warns about future events. In the Epistle of Jude, Michael is called the Archangel, fighting against Satan and his forces. And in Revelation, Michael appears before us as the leader of the heavenly army, defeating Satan in a great battle. However, the Bible does not provide a definitive answer to the question of who Michael really is. For centuries, many biblical scholars have been trying to unravel this mystery. In Judaism, much literature has emerged dedicated to angelology, the study of angels. In this literature, angels are given names and arranged in a hierarchy. For example, the Book of Enoch mentions 7 archangels, one of whom is Michael. The Book of Jubilees states that God appointed an angel for each nation, according to the 70 nations mentioned in the book of Genesis. And Michael was appointed as the angel of the Jewish people, but in the Midrash on the book of Genesis, the same idea is reiterated: the people of Israel do not receive an angel, because the Lord himself is their protector and defender. The idea that each nation has its own angel resonates well with the book of Daniel, where Michael is the prince of the Jewish people and battles the princes of Persia and Greece. It is unequivocally clear that Michael is one of the 7 archangels in early Judaism. An interesting perspective is offered by Philo of Alexandria. He gives Michael many different names, some of which are used in the New Testament to describe Jesus. Just consider, the firstborn Logos, that is, the Word, is the foremost among angels. He is the archangel, bearer of many names. He is referred to as the beginning, the name of God, the Word. This is particularly interesting since Philo was a contemporary of Jesus. However, Philo lived in Alexandria and therefore never crossed paths with Jesus. What is important is that Philo wrote before the authors of the New Testament began to write. In late Judaism, Michael is also considered the greatest of all angels. Michael takes an active role in the lives of people, especially the Israelites. For example, according to one of the rabbinic traditions, Michael and Gabriel were friends at Adam's wedding. Another tradition states that the 3 angels who visited Abraham to announce the birth of Isaac, Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael, had Michael as the senior among them. Of course, these are merely traditions and are not confirmed by the Bible. Nevertheless, they provide a good insight into how the rabbis and people in ancient times understood who Michael was. Thus, we have an established tradition of interpreting Michael as either an archangel or a great angel. The first messianic interpretation of Michael can be found in The Shepherd of Hermas. This work dates back to the late 1st century AD. Here, Michael is described as the Son of God. However, such an interpretation is more of an exception than a rule, as almost all church fathers interpret Michael in light of the rabbinic tradition, meaning as an angel, portraying him as either an angel or an archangel. Michael begins to be understood as Christ during the Reformation. Starting with Calvin, many commentators and theologians in their works identify Michael as Christ. However, during this period, both viewpoints coexist. Some assert that Michael is Christ, while others claim he is an angel. In principle, both viewpoints with various modifications still exist today. While some identify Michael with Jesus, others believe he is an angel. Now, let's examine the arguments used by different sides to prove that Michael is either an angel or Christ. The first argument concerns the name. In Hebrew, Michael means, who is like God. This name implies that its bearer is equal to God or claims equality with God. However, we can immediately find a counterargument. In the Old Testament, there are many individuals named the same, and they certainly did not claim equality with the deity. Now let us focus on the phrase, Michael, one of the chief princes. It is recorded in the book of Daniel. In chapter 10, verse 13. This phrase implies that there are several chief princes, and Michael is one of them. In this case, if this reading is correct, then Michael cannot be identified with Jesus. Some attempt to interpret this phrase as the first of the princes. The princes in the context of the book of Daniel are heavenly beings. Accordingly, the phrase, the first of the princes, could have a Christological connotation. That is, this phrase does not deny the possibility that Michael is Christ. However, from the perspective of Hebrew syntax, it is more accurate to read this phrase exactly as it is presented in the synodal translation, that is, Michael, one of the chief princes. Another interesting figure is described in the book of Daniel, a man clothed in linen. He is found in Daniel, chapter 10, verse 5. The description of this figure closely resembles the description of God or Christ in the book of Revelation. He appears at the beginning of the vision. Then Daniel, in fear, falls face down before him. After that, the angel lifts Daniel and speaks of his struggle with the princes of Persia and Greece. It is quite logical to assume that Michael and the man clothed in linen are the same person. If this is the case, then Michael is Christ. But again, the text does not provide us with clear indications that Michael should be identified with the man clothed in linen. Probably, the most important aspect for the argument supporting one position or the other will be to consider how Michael's activities are described in the Bible. That is he endowed with functions that according to other texts are performed by Christ or not? Michael's appearance in Daniel, chapter 12, is described as God's intervention in the course of human history. His appearance is associated with a time of tribulation and with the resurrection of the dead. Let's read Daniel, chapter 12. At that time, Michael shall stand up, the great prince who stands watch over the sons of your people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that time. And at that time your people shall be delivered, everyone who is found written in the book. And many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, some to shame and everlasting contempt. If we consider the entire book of Daniel, we can see that nearly every prophecy in this book concludes with the establishment of the heavenly kingdom. Thus, in the book of Daniel, in chapter 2, there is the stone that destroys all the kingdoms of the earth, after which God's kingdom comes. In chapter 7 of Daniel, the Son of Man appears, and he inherits the kingdom along with the saints. And in chapter 12 of Daniel, it is Michael, with whose coming the heavenly kingdom is also established. Therefore, it is quite logical that Michael in chapter 12 is identical to the Son of Man in chapter 7 of Daniel. Additionally, the fact that the Son of Man, like Michael, appears in the context of judgment and the separation of the righteous from the wicked supports this assumption. Furthermore, Michael, as described in chapters 10 and 12 of Daniel, resembles the commander of the heavenly host from chapter 5 of Joshua. This commander of the heavenly army is very often interpreted as a manifestation of Christ before his incarnation on earth. If we turn to other books, Michael is again portrayed as a divine figure. For instance, in the Epistle of Jude, he disputes with the devil over the body of Moses. In the entire Bible, the only one who stands against the devil is Jesus himself. Interestingly, the scriptures do not describe people confronting the devil. People most often confront evil spirits. It is only said of Jesus that he faced the devil in the desert. Also, the book of the prophet Zechariah suggests that the Lord, who presumably was Christ, opposed Satan, who accused the high priest Joshua. The same is true concerning Michael's description in the book of Revelation. Here, he is also portrayed as fighting the devil, which emphasizes his identification with Christ. Thus, there are quite a few arguments supporting the idea that Michael is described in the Bible as Christ. That is, Michael is another name for Jesus Christ. However, here we need to answer one more important question: why is Michael presented as an angel in the book of Daniel, albeit an archangel, but still an angel? The answer to this question can be found in the Old Testament. The fact is that in the Old Testament, the so-called angel of the Lord appears very often. It was the angel of the Lord who was supposed to lead Israel into the promised land. The angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon. The angel of the Lord announced the birth of Samson, and so on. When we read the description of this angel, it becomes clear that he is more than just an angel. He accepts worship and acts as God. Bible commentators agree that the angel of the Lord is the Lord himself. The word angel literally means messenger, and this term should not always be understood strictly as an angel. Thus, we can say that Daniel uses this same principle in portraying Michael as an angel, while also implying that this is more than just an angel, it is the Lord himself or Christ.